Welcome to Bonus Issues. This is where we get to talk a little bit more about some of the big issues online. We're on YouTube, Facebook, podcasts. We're all over the place right now. And we've got Seema Mehta here from the LA Times, who is covering the governor's race, I think, better than anybody else.
Thank you.
Job well done. Howard Bragman, a mentor of mine, a friend of mine, legendary publicist. He's done everything from the Lewinskis to Scaramucci to every big story. He's in the middle of it. And we got Tim Conway Jr.,
who's a publicist covering the governor's race.
Yes, yeah, one of the most popular radio shows in LA. Well, great to have all you guys here.
Thank you.
Tim Conway Jr.'s show, 6 to 10
I'm a TV news
p.m.
contributor, too.
on
I'm kind of a journalist.
I think Alex is trying to get it in 6 to 10 p.m.
on KFI. Yes, a great show. And thank you for having me on last night.
Ding dong with you.
Ding dong.
Yes.
Ding dong with you. All right, let's dig a little bit deeper into the governor's race. We had some news about voter registration in California, and it shows that Republican registration is about equal to independent registration. What do you make of the future of the Republican Party in this state?
In the near term, it has major obstacles. I mean, the last time a Republican was elected statewide was in 2006, and registration has been plummeting. The party is now having problems even fielding candidates, well-known candidates for many of the statewide offices. But that doesn't mean that this is going to happen forever. I mean, Ronald Reagan was elected here, Richard Nixon was elected here before they went on to be president. So it's cyclical, but at the current moment in time, and you see this with the state party, they're really focused on down-ballot races, congressional races, legislative races.
Yeah, because we could have a situation where there's no candidate for governor and no candidate for Senate this year.
I think it's, I'm working with Scaramucci, and I'm pretty left, and he's fairly centrist, has taught me that there's a lot of people the Republican Party could be reaching, but they're not reaching. And sort of the key issues are marriage equality, women's right to choose, the environment, and sensible gun laws. And Scaramucci and I are pretty much aligned on those particular issues. And I think the Republican Party, by turning hard right in California, is really hurting whatever chance they have to have a moderate voice.
That's kind of how Arnold Schwarzenegger won, being in line on those issues. Where do you see the future of conservatism in California?
Well, Alex, with all due respect, this is the kind of crap that Donald Trump heard for a year and a half, and then he became president.
Right.
So I'm not going to say it's going to happen in California, but that's exactly what you people said for a year and a half, and Trump won, so live with it.
Although Donald Trump is sort of a singular character, and I don't know who in California could do what, who starts off with universal name ID? Who in California has been on everyone's television sets for 10 years?
Besides
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right, Arnold Schwarzenegger, exactly.
Right? That's somebody who is.
These are singular characters.
And how'd that work out?
Yeah, well, he got elected twice.
Right, he did.
Yeah.
But these are singular characters, and I don't know who among California Republicans could fill those shoes right now.
Well, whoever it is, I'm sure whoever the Republican candidate is, if it is John Cox, I'm sure the LA Times will support him.
Yeah. LA Times backing Antonio Villaraigosa.
They
Let's
are?
talk for a moment about some of the ads. We wanted to play a couple ads and get your reaction to them.
In kindergarten, my sister and I took 3 buses to get to school. As mayor, I remembered that. And despite the recession, we built more new schools and rail lines than any city in America. Added 200,000 living wage jobs, built 20,000 units of affordable housing, and nearly doubled graduation rates. I know how far a bus can take you. As governor, the life story that'll mean the most to me is yours.
Effective?
It's all lies.
It is all, it's all crap, but it's a really good ad as far as pure advertising. It's warm. It humanizes him, especially to those of us who know him.
But he's on a bus he takes 3 buses to kindergarten? I don't believe that.
Well, the part is, he came in to be mayor, and the first thing he said was he's going to fix the schools, and one of the powers the mayor of LA doesn't have is the schools, and he never got that power, and yet he's taking credit for changes in the schools.
He doubled the graduation
rate. I
rate.
think that's half true. He tried to take control of the district. He wasn't successful, but he did get control of a handful of schools, and the graduation rates at those schools did go up.
It was interesting in your paper's endorsement today, the very things that he went in office and said he was going to do, he failed miserably. It was the other things that propped him up.
Yeah.
I think the ad, it's also a reminder for people, he left office, 5 years ago? So there's a lot of voters who don't, younger voters in particular, who have no idea who he is.
Let's look at another ad.
I don't remember the first time it happened, but I'll never forget how painful it was for my family. They threw rocks at our windows, spray painted our garage, and started fights with us on the playground. My dad came over from Taiwan in the 1950s with little money to his name. We were the first Asian American family on our block. We were taunted, ridiculed, but I remember my mom saying, "We just need to show them that we are good people." I think it's why I've always...
So that's John Chung. What
Oh,
do you
I
make
thought
of
that
that?
was Newsom's ad.
Yeah.
Very effective.
Yeah. Do you like that? Not like it?
It doesn't. It's not warm, and I see what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced he achieved it.
Yeah. And
He's a person. He's been elected statewide so many times. Yet a lot of voters really have no idea who he is. If you said his name to a random voter in the street right now, you probably would get, who's that? So I think he's just trying to introduce himself.
yeah, and he's really struggling in the polls right now.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
it is indicative of how great the country is. I mean, you come here with nothing, and you're running for high office like that. That is pretty cool.
All right, let's go to the personal issues. I'm going to give each of you randomly a card, and you're going to get to answer that question. What do you tell us your card and give us your answer?
Who's going to win the third race at Santa Anita? It's lunchtime, 12 to 1. Favorite fictional character? I don't know. Antonio Viragosa.
I thought you were going to say Mike Pence.
Yeah.
Fooled you.
Howard?
Sushi or steak? I kind of like them both, but I'm going to choose sushi a little more often, a little healthier. I
Okay.
think.
Favorite superhero? I finally saw the Wonder Woman movie and I loved it, so I'm going to go with Wonder Woman.
Okay, and last question around the table. The next big issue is Seema.
Well, we've seen a bunch of these ads that are bio, that are positive. We're starting to see a little bit of the negative advertising creep up, and I think it's just going to get completely nasty. And I think our TV sets are just going to be inundated. Our mailboxes are going to be filled with attacks of all of them attacking each other.
Howard?
Tim's friends on his side just can't stay away from voter fraud, and I can't wait for the Democrats in voter fraud. I know it's going to start bubbling up soon.
Tim?
More voter fraud. I like it. Yeah. No, I think there's a big issue coming out that just passed last week that new homes have to have solar on them.
Right.
And that's going to be a big issue. I think that's going to spread across the country. And I think even in the future, when you buy a home that's already a pre-existing home, they're going to make you put solar on that home, which I think is a good idea, right? You have solar, right? I bet.
I don't actually. I'm not a homeowner, but my parents have solar. It came with the house, and now they pay nothing in electricity. It's great.
I see.
If you can have solar,
Are
it's
you
really good.
transient? You're not going to live here? You're just renting?
He's living in a tent city to see what it feels like
Yes.
to address the problem.
It's an embedded as a
Let's
reporter.
get Elex a house.
Okay, let's end on that. Guys, thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
coming in.
much.
Really appreciate having you, and you're all great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. And that's
But
the
who is the
bonus
best?
issue. We'll
don't
find
wanna
out. Leave that in your comments. Tell us who you think is best. And we'll be back next week.
Ding dong.
So the issue is Ding Dong.